All right. Okay, I think we're good. Hi everyone, and hi everyone online. But there's only 2 people online, so there's only 5 of you. So my name's Anthony, and I'll tell you who I am and I suppose what the course is. We've got a series of slides that we have to go through. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, good. We all worked it out.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Perfect. Welcome. Thank you.
We've got a series of slides that we'll have to go through, just talking about, I suppose, being a new student here. Those of you online, you haven't got your cameras on yet. Do you want to turn your cameras on? And then I can maybe talk to everyone and see you online as well. Who's coming back to uni after a long time? Yeah, I'll come to you in a sec. How long has it been? Right. What course did you do? Was it? Nursing. Yeah, yeah. And you've been working as a nurse since, and you're just looking for something a little bit different now? Yeah, yeah. Will you be working full-time or part-time? It's the same when you're doing this? Part-time. Great. Yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. I'll just close the door. And how long has it been for you?
Well, a long time. I graduated in 2003.
I'll take my beanie off.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wear my beanie a lot.
Yes, yes. And I was working like psychology in my country, in my
Yeah, which is?
It's Peru. So
Peru, yep.
And I'm come to Australia in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And when I arrived, I have my kids was very small, so I need to care of them. Now that they are older, I can back to my profession and see how can I be a psychologist here. So I find this master that
Great.
again.
What about your registration? So is your registration not easily transferred? Is that why?
No, it's not. Oh, no, because
Australia
it's
doesn't
more than 10
recognise?
years that
Okay.
I graduate from.
Yeah.
And I need to get a master before.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe this master can open a door to maybe get that registration.
Yeah, great. We've got a couple of people. We've got someone from, gotta get this country right. We've got someone from Malaysia who's a psychologist in Malaysia, but she's come over here for additional training in the masters because the CBT sort of like element was not, I suppose, up to where she wanted to be over there. So she's doing the masters here and then she's going back. We've had someone from Bolivia, I think, come over, and he couldn't get his registration recognised. So yeah, he's done this, and we've got a few of our other students have done this as a step, and now they're trying their hand to go back to do clinical psychology. I'm a clinical psychologist by trade. I don't work clinically anymore, but the advantage of a lot of people thinking that that's a pathway is because the Medicare rebates haven't been opened in Australia for counsellors yet. But the national bodies, the ACA and PACPA, have lobbied, and there's been $800,000 put aside in this year's federal budget to develop national standards for counsellors and psychotherapists, which was the last step before opening up Medicare rebates for counsellors. So in 2026, that's aimed to change in that counsellors will be able to get Medicare rebates. At the moment, they can only get private health care rebates. And at the moment, because of archaic restrictions, only 3 types of people with qualifications can get jobs in a hospital in a counselling role. It's not nursing. I think it's social work, OT, and psychology. But with these national standards, that will change, and they'll open that up to other health professionals like nurses with a mental health specialty or counsellors. So yeah. You're new. You haven't been out for a while. What?
I graduated
Right.
recent pre-pandemic.
Yeah. What in what? What did you graduate?
Oh, psychology.
Psychology, yeah.
Um,
From here or Adelaide or uni?
Oh no, from my home country.
Right.
The work that I've done for the most part is more of administrative clinical work,
Yep.
but still in a clinical or in counseling setting.
Yeah.
I'm also a licensed psychometrician back at home,
Yeah.
but I think there's no equivalent to it here.
Yeah, I was going to say psychometrician. Is that like for psychometric tests and everything?
Yes, for testing and
Yep.
assessment.
Yeah. In the army, they have qualified people in those sort of roles.
Yeah, in the army itself.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
also
yeah.
in the medicals,
Yeah.
mental health checkups, assessments.
Yeah, but not really in the
Yeah.
mental health field here.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
yeah. What about you people online? Oh, Kelly, you're there. Has anyone got a camera? Do you want to put it on and then maybe I can move the screen over so we can all see? Catherine, you don't have a microphone. What about, is it Melixenia? That's the worst pronunciation ever. No? Doesn't have a microphone? Maybe they'll just have to listen. They're shy. All right. Okay, so we'll go through a few slides. Oh, so myself, I'm psychologist by trade. I went back to uni late in life. I was like 30 before I went back to uni. So I went back and I did my master's and my PhD all at the same time to get it over and done with early. And then I went out and I've worked clinically in prisons, in girls' high school, very similar. And I was with the Army for a while, so I was an Army psychologist. I had my own private practice. But I was drawn to academia. So while I worked clinically full-time for a while, then I worked clinically part-time and academically part-time, and now I'm kind of more academically full-time. That's sort of like where my role has been. So that's my history. The other professionals that we have working in the course are, there's another psychologist, another clinical psychologist. We have two mental health social workers, so social workers, but then with a specialty in mental health. We've previously done this course. We have counsellors. We have people working up in Salem. So we have mental health nurses and nurse practitioners. So we have a great diversity of people in the course. This is the first year that the course has been running as a Master of Counselling. Its initial iteration was Master of Cognitive Behavioural Therapy. And that made sense to us, but it didn't really make sense to anyone out in the field. So it wasn't the best way to market a course. So we've aligned it more with counselling, which is where our national accreditation is. We're accredited with the Australian Counselling Association and with the Psychotherapy and Counselling Federation of Australia. So when you leave as a graduate, you can register as you can register as a counsellor, you can register as a psychotherapist, that's what you can call yourself, or you can go into a whole lot of other range of roles that potentially open up to you. Yeah, so that's about me. That's where I've come from. And yes, so the course started this year as a Master of Counselling. One, because we wanted to redefine our course more aligned with what we're teaching and the graduates. Also because we started a program over in Singapore. So we're offering 3 Master of Counselling, a Master of Counselling, a Graduate Diploma in Counselling, and a Graduate Certificate in Counselling over in Singapore, so internationally. And we wanted it to align. So what we're offering is the same both nationally and nationally. And our enrolments have increased 80% since 2022. So it seems like it's meeting the needs of what people are after. And you are enrolled, so hopefully it will meet your needs. I'm going ahead of all my slides, but that doesn't matter. One of the biggest questions people ask when they come in here is like, well, what's the difference between counselling and psychology? Yeah, and what's the difference between the different sort of like schools of counselling? You may have learned or known about the different schools, but let's go first with what's the difference between counselling and psychology. You practice psychology, yeah, and you've done undergraduate psychology. And you've just experienced psychologists, I suppose, in a working environment. So the one aspect of role, I'll start with what's the same. The one aspect of the role that's the same is that one-to-one or group psychotherapy counselling with an individual for whatever needs they might be requiring. They might have a high prevalence psychological disorder, depression, anxiety. They might be experiencing trauma. They might just need support per se. So that therapeutic aspect is exactly the same between what a counsellor does and what a psychologist does. All right. Traditionally, within our mental health care system, kind of seen that a psychologist might be a more complex cases than a counsellor. Doesn't actually work that way in practice, but that you might consider it that way. But a psychologist is trained not only as a counsellor in psychotherapy, but as a scientist. They're trained as a research individual. There's a whole lot of other sort of areas that a psychologist is trained in to be. Whereas as a counsellor, we don't give you training to become a researcher. We don't give you training to become sort of that scientist practitioner, individual. We just teach you to do that one-to-one therapy, group therapy, or whatever that is. So that's kind of the difference between a psychologist and a counsellor. And another big difference has been that psychologists are able to get the Medicare rebates, counsellors can't, but that's going to change because the demand out there greatly exceeds the type of the support that's available. Then you might think about, well, what's the different types of roles that you may have heard that the counsellor is? So, out there, you might think that a counsellor is known as someone who just holds, I'm looking at you because you can be my client, just holds space with the client. I'm going to provide a safe, non-judgmental, open space where you can explore what's going on at the moment and you can come up with your own solutions. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to point you in any direction. I'm not going to give you any sort of like clarification as to what to do. I'm just here to listen. I'm here to support. I'm here to do that. That's one counselling approach. It's called a person-centred counselling approach. And a lot of other counselling courses around Australia work from that approach. All right, great approach. It's a Rogerian sort of approach, been around forever, and it's incredibly important. Our approach is slightly different, and it aligns more with what you might see as a psychologist doing. So it's more evidence-based, practical strategies that we help clients work with to define what is the trigger for the situation, what's maintaining the situation, and what are some practical strategies that we can help you develop and build to get you out of that. That's more under a CBT type umbrella, which is cognitive behavioural therapy. That's where we operate, and that's what our training and our course, leans on more than that person-centered approach. We talk to you about that, right? And you can explore it, because when you finish this course and you go out and you're working, you do whatever suits your values and whatever suits the client, is best for the client. 100% you're going to do that. So we'll tell you about that. But our training and how we instruct and a lot of what we're required for you to do on placement is more under that evidence-based, right? Where, because that fits in more with our mental health system, so it's more the practical sort of CBT-based. Have you heard of those terms before? CBT and everything? I'm talking a lot, aren't I? Is that kind of what you were thinking, or is that important information? Yeah? Is that good or is that bad? Good? All right. I'm going to go through some slides, otherwise I'll miss all the slides and then we'll run out of time. So I needed to do this at the beginning, so I'm going to do it now, and I apologise. The Flinders University acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which our campuses are located, and we have a long footprint of campuses across South Australia and the Territory. And we acknowledge and we honour the elders past, present and emerging. Okay, so orientation is not on February and March because that was a so you guys have got your fans and everything like that worked out. Yep, you're going to have to memorise those fans and the passwords because it's going to ask you to enter it all the time. It's going to ask you to do two-factor authentication, which is really annoying. That's useful.
Where can I find my password? Who I need to ask about my password because I have my.
Yep.
But my password is the same password that I put.
Right.
It's my
So you
personal.
want to change it?
Okay. Yes, I change.
Well, if you want to change it, contact IT.
Okay.
So usually, if you just go through Flow Support, it's kind of there's a link. It's kind of a catch-all. You go through that, and they'll direct you. All right, go through Flow Support, and they'll tell you how you can get on to change that. You need a USI, Unique Student Identification Number. Have you got? You've logged on and done that? Great, because you need that to be able to qualify for a Commonwealth supported place if you have one, and you need that to be able to graduate. But you've all done that, and has everyone online done that? No one can talk because they haven't got. But you let
Maybe
Kelly
they can
know.
write. Maybe they can write.
Yes, yeah, Kelly will monitor that. Have you got your ID cards? No, so you need to go on to My Opta. So when you go on to Flinders and you go up to one of the selections, it says Opta. I don't know what Opta stands for, to tell you the truth, but you go on to Opta and it gives you your options. And this is it saying here, you go up to students and you'll be able to select your card from here. What is it? Order my ID card. There we go.
Yeah, but it's not working for me. I don't know why. So I need to ask him that.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So have a go. If you haven't got anything, you know, contact me later on this week or early next week. Yeah, I'm going to be off later on this week, but I'll be back on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, that's just more information about the welcome to. Ask or call Flinders. There's a number. Cool. Have you had luck enrolling in your courses? Yeah. So there are 4 foundational courses that you need to enrol in, and they're 8044, 8035, 8019, and 8018. Is everyone doing a full-time load, or?
No, I just chosen to.
That's right. You just choose 2 then. But think about when you want to do your first placement. So just think ahead, because you'll need those 4 prerequisites to do placement. So if you're thinking about doing the other 2 semester 1 next year, you'll go in progression per se, and then you'll be ready for placement if you want semester 2 next year. So when you do go on placement, since we're talking about it, and it might be very applicable to you because you're working part-time as well, you'll be on a placement which will be for between 13 and 15 weeks, and it's generally 2 days a week. Right? Now, sometimes people can do the placements where they work, and you can do a paid placement. But a lot of the time, people don't have that opportunity. So it's, you know, if you're studying full time and you don't have a family and everything, it's less of an issue. If you do, we'll try and help you as best we can, but there's no way around it. You need to do the placement for that length of time. Yeah, and we can help you find a placement, or you can find a placement on your own. If you can't find a placement, we do have a few partner organisations that offer placements for students. So we can set you up with one of those. And we're looking at developing our own placements, our own clinic here on campus from semester 1 next year. So that'll help us with the flow through of students as well. So then we'll have a service that we can just run students through. And we've just linked up with some an old age care centre, Alwindor, which is in North Brighton, and we're talking to ACH Group, so we'll have more options through aged care facilities, and we've got a connection with Headspace and with Sonda. They're offering student placements as well. So that's student placements. Flow. Flow has changed. Flow is our online learning system. This is my son. Flow is our online learning system, and it's still going to be called Flow, but it's moved from Moodle to now Canvas. So the whole university is getting used to this move, and we're starting from Canvas first time this semester. So it's new to all of us. So it's going to be new to you, which is great. It sucks for people who are used to Flow and have to transfer, but since you're going to be brand new to Canvas, hopefully it'll be easier for you. You'll access it via Okta, and there'll be a link to Canvas. You go onto Canvas, and then it will have a little tab for each of your subjects. And then you go into each of your subjects, and it's fairly self-explanatory. It has down the left-hand column, you know, modules, assignments, grades, everything. If you want to see what your assignments are, you click on assignments. It will let you know what assignments are due and the due dates. If you go on modules, it will give you the information that you need to access. So it's fairly self-explanatory by that. So so that launches. When's the 24th? Next week? That launches on Monday to everyone. So you'll get it at the same time everyone else gets access to it. It used to be 2 weeks before semester, but the university's decided in its wisdom that it's only giving you access to them 1 week per semester. So, I don't know. But I think Kelly was involved, but she's just trying to lay low. Who's coming in via car and bus, and how are you getting here?
I get in train.
Yep.
But I have car too, so I can park in.
Right. So train, you just catch it in and you catch the free loop bus up?
No. I couldn't find hope to get the
Oh, right.
no, because I get in the rail station and I just walk to the medical center.
Yep.
And
No.
I'm trying to find this one.
No. So you
So
get
I
off.
go through the medical center.
Do you know where the caravan is? The little cafe caravan. You would have seen it when you got off the train.
Yes. I
Yeah.
saw that.
And there's a statue of Matthew Flinders just there. If you get off the train and you're looking at that Matthew Flinders, and in front of you is the big new building that's been put up. If you go to that road, which is just underneath, there's a bus stop.
Oh.
And that's the free bus.
Oh, nice.
So just jump on the free bus and it'll take you up.
Okay.
That'll tell you what time it must be.
Yes.
So
Every 15 minutes?
Yes,
It
I
does,
don't
but
know.
there's off times as well. So you can also track where the bus is.
Yes,
Live.
yeah, but the bus didn't tell you where is the stop. So
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know. I know that the bus was connected, but I don't know where it was.
So depending on, most of the lectures will be in the health sciences building.
In this one.
No, this is Flinders Medical Centre.
Okay.
The health sciences building is, you know, as you drive up the road and you see the big building just on the corner, that's the health sciences building.
Okay.
It's basically that direction.
Yeah.
That's where the lectures are going to be. And that's where we are. That's where our offices are.
I can show you where it is from here. Afterwards, if you like.
Yeah.
So up back, so like point view, we're not going to walk up there.
Yeah.
The stairs.
So you cars?
I'm not staying, but I'm doing my.
Right. Great. So it's Right, so if you come back and you're in a car, you can download an app, what's it called? Cello, and you just pay for parking like for a couple of hours. You can park in car park 1. Car park 1 would probably be the best car park parking. So you're, Helen, you're doing it online, but as would have been explained to us, not an online course, but you can do it virtually. So when the, for example, 8018 will have a 2-day intensive. Great. So are you going to be able to come along to that, or? Great. So the other lectures you can just you can attend online, you know, virtually. So if there's like an hour or an hour and a half something here, you just come online, and you're literally attending, but you're just virtually. In Canvas, when you go into the modules, it'll have sort of like, it might be different wording for the different topics, but it'll be like lecture 1 and instructions, and there'll be a link. And you just click on the Teams link, and there'll be a Teams link. Yep. Right. And you're in the car?
Oh, I just speak the train.
Just train, yeah, and then you just catch the bus.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Scholarships. This has got information about scholarships, saying that there are scholarships available. They're hard to get, but put in for some, you know, because you never know. So if you think you are eligible for a scholarship, or you just want to have a read to see what the eligibility criteria are, have a read. And if you want to have a talk to me about it, we can sort of have a look. Because they're out there, and if no one takes them, they just go begging. So you might as well see if you're eligible for something. Okay, so safety. It's a pretty safe campus to walk around in, but as any sort of public space, we can't control, you know, everyone's behaviour. So if you see something or you experience something, you know, out with another person, in the class, with a staff member, with another team member, just know that, you know, we're in sort of a no tolerance sort of like area. And please come and see me as the course coordinator, or we have a discipline, a group discipline lead. Her name is Billy Vanesky, or we have the dean in the College of Medicine and Public Service, which is Alison Jones, or we have, you know, security that you can go to. Please, wherever you feel most comfortable, you can please come to us, and we can do something about what you're experiencing, or I didn't phrase that right, but please let us know, and we can change situations, or you will help alert us to maybe something that we didn't know that was going on, where action needs to be taken. We have a health counselling disability services, which is free to all students. There is a limit to how many times that you can go per semester, but it's quite generous. But if you need support for anything, may it do mental health support, you need support with organisation of maybe your planners, how you're organising things for your assessment or your assignments, you can go through health counselling and disability. And if there is something that you may have, or you may be sort of like challenged or dealing with, you know, personally or physically, let us know, and then what we can develop is an access plan through the union. So therefore we can make adjustments to criteria like assessment times, you know, how information is being delivered, anything like that to make the experience better for you. But if you don't tell us about that, you don't have an access plan, we can't make those adjustments and accommodations. Oasis is the Student Wellbeing Centre. They've got lots of cool stuff that's going on. You know, yoga, forest walks, volunteering, I've got a student who volunteers up at the local market that's run for international students at the moment. So he's heavily involved in sort of the Oasis program. If you just want to get to know people as well, it's a good way to get to know other students. Because while we're back after the pandemic, we're not as integrated as we would like to be. All right. In undergraduate, you would have had big rooms of people, maybe several hundred, sitting in a room doing a lecture. It's finished, everyone flocked out, just hang around, it's great. It doesn't happen like that. It's postgraduate work. People come here for a purpose and then they're out of here. Or they don't even make it in on campus because they've got other lives that they're dealing with and they've got to get on. So it needs a purposeful act on your behalf if you need to get involved with people. And there are people that will help you do things and get you involved in organisations, but you're going to have to drive that a little bit. Again, diversity, there's sort of like prayer rooms, equal opportunity advisors, which you can access. You can go on, I don't have Instagram, I don't have all of these things, but if you do, you can get onto all of these great services. Kelly's a bit of a junkie, she's on social media and all of these. But,
I'm a young child.
Yeah. My wife also works. My wife also works here at Flinders, and she used to work with Kelly, so I've known Kelly for a while. Yeah, she's a social media.
She's watching hiking.
Okay, so this is, you can read this while I talk to it, but we've designed this course for both emerging and existing health professionals. In the old version of the course, it was, and I'm going back 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, it was very much the only people who came in to do our course were existing health professionals who needed that little bit extra. All right, as a nurse, did you say a social worker? Community. But what, your background was social work or nursing?
So I have a nurse.
Yep. Yeah. So sometimes, professionals coming back like that just may need that little bit extra qualification to maybe access Medicare rebates. Because if you're a social worker and you did our course, that opens up the door for you to get Medicare rebates. I don't know about nursing, but it might have a similar sort of effect with nursing. So that used to be us. So now we've transitioned to both because there are more and more emerging health professionals looking to get a qualification with this and enter into the counselling area. So while we try and cater for both. So the information that we're providing is fundamental and then it builds. But we know that we're using language, I suppose, that we're not just talking to existing health professionals, we are catering to the emerging as well. We've reduced the amount of topics that we offer to be a bit more streamlined and be more direct in what you need, and we've opened it up in that we've given a bit more access to some option topics, especially around trauma and First Nations, so you can get more of exposure to those areas which are incredibly important if you're going into the counselling psychotherapeutic area. And we do have a topic around research skills, but it's only a 4.5 unit topic, and it's basically to teach you how to use the literature, right? Because as a professional going out there, you need to build on the skills you learn at university, because we don't teach you everything. It's basically on-the-job training, like with any job. You get out there and you think, what's happening now? It's up to you to learn more. So we teach you how to use the literature to be able to do that and look for evidence-based and look for what is good and what's not good in the literature, what you can take note of and what is not really something that you should hang your hat on. And we come from a diverse range of academics. that will be teaching you, and we're looking at changing that as well. We're going to hire more people in. So I want more professionals coming in from the counselling and psychotherapy area to add sort of a more breadth to what you're understanding. And I'm also introducing a new concept for next year, which is around relationship and sexual health, which is a unique to our course. A lot of other courses around Australia talk about family therapy, but I want a topic around talking about family therapy, but also talking about relationships and issues that come up around sexual health, because they can cause a lot of trauma and discomfort in families that we work on. So as a counsellor, you need to have experience in those areas as well. This is us, the beautiful team. Notice my photo, I've got 2 different size eyes. My daughter points that out all the time. I don't know why, but that photo kind of highlights it. And now you can't not see it, can you? It's just like standing out. This is Paula Redhart and Fiona Glover. Fiona Glover is looks after placements and is our placement coordinator. Paula is a senior lecturer. She used to be the discipline lead and may become the discipline lead again. Won't go into the big long story, but she's been in the course a long time and is sort of like the fountain of knowledge. I'm the course coordinator, and then Fiona kind of handles all the placements. So that's who you'll be talking to for that. This is Leanne. She's a clinical psychologist who works with us part-time, and then she's got her own private practice 2 days a week. She does some of the more advanced skill topics, but it's really good because she's one of our practicing clinicians. I need to get out there and practice again, but I've just taken on another role as well. I'm an elected member of council of Hillcrest Bay, so I'm a counsellor. I kind of don't have time to get back in and do my clinical, but I'd like to do that down the track as well. Does anyone live in Hillcrest Bay? Then you're not my people. You don't have to vote for me. This is Tim. He's a nurse practitioner. He runs a clinic at Calvary, a crisis intervention and first aid clinic in Calvary ED. So he works there full time, but teaches some subjects into the course as well. This is Vicky. She teaches some of the foundational topics like 8044. She did her training over in London, in CBT specifically, and as a nurse background. She's living up in Broken Hill at the moment. She was working for the Royal Flying Doctor Service out, but she's just here academically at the moment because family-wise they're looking at moving back and there's a bit of a drama there, but she's just doing this at the moment. This is Andrea Morello. She's doing one of our subjects. She's a nurse in background. And this is Adriana, who does a lot of the admin support. Okay, now remember these slides were done at the start of the year. So, and at the start of the year, we had 2 landing pages to log on to. I'm setting this up to say that we don't have them anymore. But there used to be 2 landing pages where you can go on and see all the information about behavioural health and everything. We've kind of done that the last couple of years. No one logged on to it this semester. So, it's kind of thinking, why should we have it if no one's using it? So we're just going to try and get that information to you in a different way, rather than giving you yet another site you need to keep track of. Because I'm sure you're really excited about having 27,000 different sites that you need to access all the time. So we're going to try and simplify that a bit and keep it simple. So we don't have landing pages anymore, but if we do have the new version of it, I'll send an announcement out to everyone. This is the usual structure of the course. You probably would have received something like this from Kelly and her team about the study planners. But basically, you do 4 fundamental courses and that forms the certificate. Then you do 3 more courses and that forms the diploma. This one's worth 9 units. So that's why there's only 3 here instead of 4. Then you come down here, and this 2 years is doing the Masters. Are you all enrolled in the Masters or the certificates? Diploma. So let's say you do the diploma and you finish that 4, and then something happens in your life that just, there's no way I'm going to be able to continue this right now. You would revert back to there and leave with a certificate, and then you can come back at a later stage. If you're in the Masters, same goes for you. If 12 months down the track something happens with you, and assuming you've successfully passed everything, you know, it all articulates, so you can then leave with that and then come back in at a later stage. Now, if you did that, you would have to reapply. It's not an automatic come back in. You would have to reapply through state and everything. But it's just something you can consider.
Even when I am in like Greenville,
What was that?
even when I am in the hospital,
Supported placement?
yes,
Yep.
because they said that I can then, that was,
So
even though,
I think we're saying the same thing. You can leave, you can leave the course whenever you want, theoretically, but you need to be aware of what the implications of that is. I mean, it's there because it gives you an advantage. You know, you're not stuck in something, so at least you can get something. But if you do leave the course, then you're out. If you want to come back in, you have to re-enroll, and then you can apply. Do you automatically get credit, or you apply for?
You apply for credit because if there have been coursework changes
Yeah.
at that time, then the topics may not align, so we can't guarantee credit that you can apply. So it depends how long you wait to come back in. Yeah, but if you know that you need a short time off, a semester or 2 semesters, you can apply for leave.
Yeah.
And then that pauses your enrolment, but as long as you communicate with us, if you don't pause your enrolment, then you run the risk of going AWOL, and then you lose your place again. So it's imperative that you keep in touch, and it's very rare that we say when to leave.
Absolutely.
Because we'd rather you have the time you need to be able to be successful in the study.
Yeah.
So if you do consider stopping early, pausing it and having to think about what you should do is a better option, do that. If you decide after a semester break you still want to exit, you can still do that.
So Flinders is really accommodating, as long as you're keeping communicating. Don't not communicate. That's the biggest downfall. People don't communicate, and then it's like, oh, hang on, 12 months later, can I do this? The answer is no. So the grade are the core subjects. These are online subjects, right? So this is the research, and this is motivational interviewing, and these are the options. But with this one, for example, you've got to do trauma or First Nations, and if you do trauma there, then you do First Nations down here, or vice versa. All right, and then you've got different options that you can choose. But you know how I mentioned that new subject that's coming on board? So what we're planning on doing next year is we're going to move this up here, and then we're going to put a new subject down here. Don't worry about it now. It's just that when we make these changes, we'll put them up, and you'll just have to like adjust. I'll tell Kelly and her team all the changes, and she'll be like, "What the
First
fuck
I'm
are
hearing
you
of
doing?"
it.
So that'll all work out. Yep. All right.
I'm sorry, for the topics that we can choose more than one, or we just one per.
So each of these spots, for example, this is a 9 unit. That's why there's 3 there again, like this. These are 4.5, so that's why there's 4. So this is a 4.5 unit sort of section. All right, so you choose one of those topics, and that's a 4.5 unit section, so you choose one of them. Yes, so you need one there and one there.
Just one, but if I want to do maybe for the next semester, can I choose it or not?
It doesn't fit in.
No.
No, because it's fairly packed. You don't have that room to sort of like say, well, I'm going to swap this one out for another option, because that's a core. So no, so you basically have option spaces to yes, yeah. There might be for example, in the worst case scenario, because the usual number of placements we have for students averaged around 10 each semester, this semester we had 30 because of the increase in numbers. So because of 30 placements, we thought we had to go out and find new placements. Now, we couldn't find placements for 2 people, all right, which meant that shittiest situation ever, but because we couldn't, and we've got plans to get more placements down the track, but because we couldn't, those people couldn't do a placement the second semester. So they're doing a placement, their first placement down here. So as a result, we've adjusted the way that they're doing things. And for those individuals, yeah, they're doing some of the options up there out of order. So we can make adjustments like that. One of the reasons why we didn't get those people placements this semester, going back to the communication, is they didn't tell us they wanted to do placement until literally a couple of weeks before today. We'd done all the planning, we'd allocated all the people, because we'd put information out saying people who want to do a placement, tell us, you know, at the beginning of the previous semester, so we can start planning. They never got in touch with us, so we haven't got anything for them because they got in touch really late. So that was flowing on from the last discussion. Make sure that you talk to us and let us know what you want to do.
How early do
So, for example, you would potentially be looking at doing placement first semester next year if you did all 4. Yeah. So Fiona will put something out at the start of this semester saying, let me know who is willing, who is looking to do placements. So then she can have a list and then we can look at what placements can we get, who have we got, just make sure you're on that list. Yeah, so when she comes out and says who wants to do it, you put your hand up.
already looking for the placement already this semester?
We're always looking for placements. We're always talking to people. Yeah, so it's an ongoing sort of thing.
Okay.
And as I said, we're looking at developing that clinic as well. So that will give us more options.
And you have a dedicated.
Oh, yeah.
On placements. So, just on placements, the whole team work together plus separate working together.
And through that work, that's not how work works. So
I know, she will be upset if you don't mention it.
So through the wheel team, they start you on, because you need information, and sometimes that information takes a long time to get about vaccinations, about stuff like that. And assuming your placement might be in hospitals or schools, they ask for as many different clearances as possible. So you may need a working with children clearance and all of these sorts of things. Yeah. So these are our two placements. So there's no placement in the graduate certificate, one placement in the diploma, one placement in the master's. So 2 days a week for about 10 to 15 weeks. So this is cumulative. So you need 3 and 3. So imagine this. So this isn't 6 plus 3. This master's assumes that diploma is part of this. But if you're doing the diploma separately, you're not doing the master's, you need at least 3 completed cases. So that means that you're seeing someone from assessment through to discharge. Yeah, at least 3 examples of that. Now you'll see lots of different people, you have lots of assessments, but you won't see everyone through to discharge because that's not how mental health works. People don't stay. And then you need 6, so 3 and 3. These placements are more behaviourally focused. So you'll be working with people sort of from a more behavioural perspective around sort of like behavioural activation, activity scheduling, exposure and response prevention, you know, those sort of things. These are more, we expect you to use more high intensity skills, and it can be from different philosophical perspectives. So this is all behavioural, and it's basically under that CBT umbrella. So it's the behavioural aspect. You know, CBT is in 3 generations: first, second, and third. First generation is behavioural. Second generation is the behavioural plus cognitive. So that's the traditional CBT. Third generation is more ACT, DBT, and more mindfulness. So this is more behavioural. Here, it's more complex, so you're integrating more of the cognitive, so more cognitive restructuring and those sort of things. Or you might be working with someone in an aged care facility. Now, they're not going to probably be in the cognitive space to be doing that. CBT is hard work. You might be doing some more stuff around reminiscence therapy, or from that more person-centered perspective, where you're just being with them, providing that support, emotional support for the residents, but then you might be providing some more CBT type strategies to the families. Right, so you might have multiple players that you're dealing with there. Cool. All right. Any questions about placement?
Yeah, the 2 practice that we need to do by the master, we need to do 10 weeks per week, per every practice, no?
So placement, yeah. So one placement is 2 days a week, 10 to 15 weeks. Placement done, gone. Then the next placement is 2 days a week.
Start the next one.
Yes.
When we finish.
That's right. Sometimes people roll through, like I've got one student working at Status, which is a return to work organisation, and he's rolling on his second placement directly after his first placement at the same location, because we had a shortage of placements, and because it actually suits him to do that. But we're going to change the focus of what he's doing at placement, right, to a more high intensity. When he's dealing with more high intensity clients. So the placement might be the same in the location, but the focus will be slightly different.
On the case, we need 6 cases to present, like assessment. We need that this 6 case could be from these 10 weeks, no? So I think that for the treatment of 1 case, maybe you need more than 10, but you can present.
Right. So I know what you're saying there. So yeah, in some circumstances, for example, this individual at Status, he'll be seeing the same client that he saw for placement 1 now in placement 2, but the case is closed per se on placement 1 and what he dealt with that client on placement 1, but this client needed more support, needed more of that cognitive restructuring. So he's transferring it to himself in placement 2, and then we're going to open up that again, and it'll be a new sort of course of treatment. So in that sense, it's the same person getting the 2 different approaches. Yeah?
And it will be 1 case.
No, that's placement 1 is finished. He's used that for placement 1. Now we're starting again in placement 2. So it's a new case. Same person, but new case. Yeah. These are some of the industry partners we have. Status is the place that I was just mentioning with. This is the return to work place. Headspace, you know about, deals with sort of like younger adults with more high prevalence mental health disorders. Beyond Blue, we developed a crisis intervention telephone service with them. So there might be some placements through there. Sonda, which is more of the high intensity clients. They have different locations. We've got a couple of students going to Marion and out at Edinburgh. Edinburgh sucks for them. We've got to drive out there, but placement to placement. We don't have a huge amount of placements in country PHN, just because they're a bit restricted by what they can hire, but we've had placements there in the past, and I'm hoping again in the future. Remedy is run by Australian Unity, and it's a telephone mental health service. So it's basically when you do placement, you're doing the placement from your home. They provide you with, nice little headset and everything like that. But you see clients from home. So it's a telephone service. Yeah. But we're going to work towards having a location and some rooms here at Flinders. for those people who don't want to be at home, they can actually come in and do the placement in here over the phone. Yeah, cool. All right, so this is just saying that we're accredited with both. Now, full disclosure, we're accredited with them. We were accredited with them under the old Master of Behavioural Cognitive Therapy. We transitioned to the new Master of Counselling this year. So I've had to apply for re-accreditation. We're in the middle of that. They're coming out for a site visit in 2 weeks to make sure that everything is what we said it is, and then we'll be accredited. So we're not actually accredited with them under the new name yet. It's underway, but it will happen. And as soon as that happens, I'll let everyone know. But don't worry, we will be re-accredited with them. But just, they weren't, because it's all a money-making process. They weren't happy with the money we paid. So our old course is still accredited. So for those people who are still finishing the old course, they're accredited. But they wanted to re-accredit the new course because they wanted the money. So we're going through that now at the moment. That's a bit cynical, isn't it? 3 hours a day. Yeah.
We already need to be accredited by the when we finish our.
Well, you can apply for student membership now. All right, so you can become a student member. And our course is accredited with those institutions. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to be accredited after. So if you're a student member now and you finish this course, you say, I've done this course, the Master of Counselling Flinders, they'll look up on their system and go, great, that course is accredited. You're now eligible for level 3 or step 2 or whatever it is, depending on the organisation. So that gives you accreditation with that organisation. It's then up to you as a working professional going forward to get the hours and to do PD. And the more hours you do, the more client contact, the more PD, the higher you get. And the higher you get, the more money you're eligible for under the various systems that are out there. Again, money-making environment, but that's how it works. Fire evacuation, you won't remember any of this, but just doesn't matter for you, you're not here. But, you know, go and have a look at them. At least I've told you to do that. These are some of our graduates. She is now back in, what country did she come from? Can't remember. But she's now back working with an emergency relief organisation back in our home country, doing some fantastic work. Behavioural is now working in the University of Malay over in Malaysia, and he's gone on to enrol. He's working privately, but he's also enrolled in a psychology program over there and doing a PhD, so he's going great guns. Ruby is now a senior individual at Remedy Healthcare, which is that telephone-based service. And Amber is actually working a little bit with us, and she's sort of like got her working with different organisations as well. So, you know, all of their stories are on the website. So go on the website and you can read more about them. Did anyone online, we've got 3 minutes to go, that time, isn't it? Anyone online got any other questions? I feel that I'm just talking to a bunch of letters because no one has their cameras on or anything. No one's responding? No?
Catherine has written that she's enrolled full-time, but like part-time.
Right.
But I will reach out to her and chat to her about that.
Sure, yeah. Assuming Catherine may have sort of life responsibilities as we all do. So yeah, good choice to go. And especially if you're coming back after a while, Catherine, it might be good to do a part-time load initially just to see how it goes.
He is quiet.
They're watching TV. They just got it on the background.
Gotta make a coffee.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording. So I'll talk to the screen and then I'll talk to the room. But good seeing you all. Good sort of seeing you. I'll talk to you after. But yeah. Thank you. If you've got any questions, email me or you can email Kelly. And I look forward to seeing you in one of the subjects. What am I doing? 80. I'll probably be in the lectures with Tim for 8035. I'm going over to Singapore when the first lecture is on, but I think I'll be in there on the second lecture. And I might pop my head in for 8018. I probably won't see you for 8044 or 8019. But yeah, I'll see you around. Okay. Stop the recording now. Stop the recording. All right. Thanks, everyone.